It's 12 o'clock noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for Rip It Live on Facebook, where we talk all things softball, including college recruiting, high school happenings, the latest in Rip It equipment and paraphernalia, so you, the softball community, can be better educated to make better decisions where possible. And you can see why more coaches, more players, more parents are turning to the Rip It brand for their softball needs. I'm your host, Wes Pollock. We have a great show again today. We have former four-year Division I softball player Arielle Pollock on the show. Arielle attended the University of Southern Miss for 4 years, received her bachelor's degree in speech pathology and audiology, and is presently in the second year of her doctoral program in audiology. So quite a successful story for Arielle. And she'll be here to answer questions, discuss her experiences as a college player. She'll offer some reflections, some perspective, give us, the audience, some advice on what it takes to compete and be successful at the collegiate level, as well as in the classroom. And no, your volume on your digital devices are not playing games with you. And it's no coincidence that her last name is the same as mine. Arielle Pollock is my daughter, and I am her proud dad. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that they're not fiddling with their volume. Before we get to Arielle, we have some announcements to make. And that starts with our last week giveaway. Last week's product winner of the classic Rip It softball helmet is Lulu Colas. Lulu Colas is the winner of the classic Rip It softball helmet. Congratulations, Lulu, on winning that prize. This week, our new prize. You've seen it before. It's the Rip It backpack. I think it's awesome. Fits all your equipment needs, large, a lot of space, a lot of room to fit all your equipment. And we're giving that away, and here's how you win. You need to share a video, tag a parent or a coach, make sure it's public. It has to be public. If we can't see it, you can't win. So please tag, share, parent, coach, share the video of the show today, and you can win this awesome backpack. All right, but again, please make it public so we can see it. Our winner will be announced on next week's Rip It Live on Facebook show. All right. Also, I want to give a warm Coach West welcome to the newest members of the Rip It family, a traditional travel organization that I know well. The Wagner's Gold organization outfitted their organization with 3 new uniforms, and they look great. So congratulations to Wagner's Gold for coming on board with the Rip It family and joining the organizations. Remember, before we get started with Arielle, we're going to comment with questions. We'll answer them live, so please send your questions in and comments. If you're just joining us, don't forget to share, tag, parent or coach, share the video, make it public, and again, you'll be eligible to win the backpack. It's good exercise I'm getting, actually. It's almost like doing curls. But the backpack looks excellent, right? Great, fits all equipment. You can win that if you share, tag, parent or coach, or share this video. All right, so we get back to welcoming Arielle Pollock onto the show. Arielle, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, and again, hopefully helping out the Rip It audience with some educational information and sharing some of your experiences as a 4-year player who's just recently removed from playing. So it's only 2 years since you played. So it's again, the game's pretty much the same as it was when you played. So hopefully this will be very encouraging and very important to the audience. I want to start by asking you, Arielle, when you were considering your potential schools of choices, what made up the factors that went into your choices?
Well, I just kind of wanted to get a good feel of the university. When I visited Southern Miss, their campus, it was really pretty. The white pillars, lots of trees, leaves. It was just a really nice campus. And so that, for one, I really liked. It had everything I could have wanted: a football team, big sports, big stadium. Actually, football was doing really well. They actually won that bowl game the year I committed. And I was looking for a friendly coaching staff, a program that was based off of good moral values, good ethics, and that's kind of what went into choosing Southern Miss.
Okay. They weren't on your original list of schools. So
No.
did they become well, how did they become a relevant choice or more of a priority choice? Because as we tutor our own travel ball players or players in my Players Choice Recruiting program, we ask them to give a list of different schools that are their choices, maybe a top 10, a top 20. But we find that many times the school a player ends up going to may not be on that list. So how did that affect you?
So yeah, actually, Southern Miss was definitely not on my radar. It wasn't a school I even really knew much about. They came to watch actually a girl on my team play, and they were looking to recruit her. And she was one of my best friends. And she was just talking really highly about the school. Well, they came to watch her play, and they saw me and got an interest in me. And just like the way they talked to me at camps, the way they invested in me so early, and then going to that school, seeing how big it was, and that it was just something that I wanted. And even though it wasn't the location necessarily that I was interested in the beginning, all those other factors played a part into me picking Southern Miss. And they also, like, financially, it was a really good fit. And
Yeah.
so that's also a big thing that I think girls need to look at is they don't realize that the financial help that playing softball in college can do for you.
Um, you stated sort of the factors as to why you chose Southern Miss. And with this big sports programs, you like the school in general, the coaches. Did those reasons end up holding up when you got there, or are they a little different than you anticipated?
So everything was stayed the same with as far as sports. Still big sports school. Still big campus. It still had all the surroundings that I had expected it to have. The only thing that happened was my coaches ended up leaving. Um, it was kind of a shock, but it was something that we don't expect as we're coming into college, and so that was one big shock. But nowadays I see now that it happens all the time. Coaches move constantly, and so that for girls that are looking at colleges, you need to make that less of a factor, and you need to look at, the school itself. Would you go to school here if you weren't playing softball? And I think if you take that statement into perspective, that'll help you with choosing a school because now coaches change all the time.
Okay. Um, Now, you were originally interested in going to the nursing program, and that's a demanding program that requires time away from the field, away from practice, along with people who want to go into medicine and the labs and the clinics. How did that academic choice match up with your softball commitment and requirements of college?
So when I picked nursing, originally my academic advisors on the athletic side told me it was going to be very difficult. They didn't want to tell me no, but they said it's going to be very hard. I was going to miss a lot of practices, potential games. Um, and another factor that went into it was for nursing at this particular school and probably a lot of other schools, you have to take a nursing admissions test. And you have to pass that test. Well, and that factors in if you get accepted into the nursing program. So you do 2 years and then you apply to nursing and you potentially get accepted or rejected. And so the NCAA has this thing with eligibility where you have to be a certain percentage completed by your sophomore, junior, and senior year in order to remain eligible. And one thing that they were always worried about, not that they didn't think I couldn't do it, but should I not score well on that admissions test and it keep me from getting accepted to the program, I would be on a wait list or behind on that NCAA eligibility scale. And so, whether that's changed now, that's what the issue I faced when I was a freshman. And so, with all of that going in, I wasn't thinking about yes, I'm going to pass it. I was just thinking about all the practices I was going to miss and all the games I was going to miss, and maybe I wasn't going to be doing well on that test, or maybe I wasn't going to get accepted right away. And so I faced the decision to switch my major. And that was kind of spontaneous. Like, I remember I was like, am I going to do business? Am I going to do this? And I just, when speech pathology and audiology came up, it was when me and you both were Googling things, and I just kind of
Right.
went out on a whim and did it.
Right.
So,
See, my expertise in Googling. Was
It
key
was
to the
literally
decision.
a Google search. Yeah.
Yes. I want to go back and circle back to the coaching change because that did have some impact on you, and I think people need to be aware, you know, how that could impact them, how they can prepare for that, how they, you know, be aware going in. So you had to deal with the unexpected coaching change in your sophomore year. Your original coaches saw you play in travel ball tournaments in Florida. You probably had two of the best games of your life, if I remember correctly, when they were watching. Um, Obviously, they were excited to get there, and it was a great fit going in. And then, like I said, unexpectedly, they left after year one. How did that affect you both on the field and in the classroom?
Being completely honest, I think I got a little bit depressed. I was really upset. Things just didn't feel right anymore because at that point we didn't even have a coach. Like they were still on the search for something. So you can imagine our entire team losing leadership all
Mhm.
in one semester. And so the team kind of, we lost a little bit of chemistry, just things, nobody knew what the next step was going to be. Nobody knew who was coming in. And for me, one thing that affected me is I was so far away from home that the only coaches I knew that were going to kind of be the family part, they were gone. And so I was just left with me, the girls I knew. And it was just, I think the lack of leadership that semester when they were on the search for a coach really did the damage. But like I said, this stuff happens all the time, and it's stuff that you don't expect, and nobody told me going into it. And so I stayed at Southern Miss. I had a great, think I had a great career here. I was successful. I ended up becoming a softball GA my first year in grad school. So I mean, it ended up, it worked out. And the thing that people just need to know is like it can happen, and it's not necessarily a matter of if it's going to happen. It's more like when, because I talked to all my friends and through their years, there were so many coaching changes, just so many different things that go on that you don't factor in when you make your decision.
I think at the time, we did feel that it was unique that this happened to you, but having now done this for several years, we see it is a lot more common. One thing I would add to anybody exploring schools on the recruiting process is find out if the AD in place was the AD who hired the coach in place. That's not to say that those two factors, being from different backgrounds, cannot get along or will not work out, but we found many times when the AD comes in and it's already an existing coach, perhaps that AD wants their own coach, just like the new coach wants their own recruiting players, not previously players recruited, or it takes a previously recruited player a while to get a comfort level with a new coach. So, and you see it in professional sports too. General manager gets hired, typically the present coach in place stays in place for a bit, but eventually the new general manager makes a coaching change. So I think it's an important question to ask is, were you hired to the coach by the present AD? If they were not, it's not a game changer by any stretch, but do a little bit exploring and questions in
Yeah.
in the relationship between the two, because I think in your case, that was one of the issues, is that the new AD had come in and I think, you know, sort of reevaluate the situation and may have wanted a different look in the coaching staff.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It happens just all the time, and that's why it can't be a factor as to whether you stay or go. What is the coaches? You just have to make the decision based on the school, based on what you want to do with your life.
That's correct.
Um, I think that's more important because had I been thinking all of those things, I probably wouldn't have reacted as severely as I did at the time
Mhm.
because I look back and it wasn't even a big deal, and it just happens. And it's, if you think about it like this, you have to bring 10 people with you to battle, and there's 10 people of your best friends and 10 people you really don't know. Who are you going to bring? And so it's just a normal reaction. It's human nature. It's just stuff happens, and it's just more likely than not it's been happening in college softball and other sports.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's an excellent point, a nugget for those people watching today. Yeah, don't necessarily make your decision just based on the coach, make your decision based on the school, the program, and whether, again, you would like to attend that school even if you weren't playing softball. And I think those are excellent points being made by Arielle and what she learned by. Um, how difficult was it for you to move from home, being far away, settling, make new friends, classmates, teammates. Like, Mississippi to Florida is not
Yeah.
outrageously far, but it's either a flight or a 10-hour drive. So how did you adjust to that?
At the beginning, it was really hard because you get so used to where you are, where you're gonna go, even places like where you're gonna go eat, like what you're gonna do, what you're gonna expect, like living situations, how things are done in different states, and like Orlando to Hattiesburg, it was a little different. Um, Biggest thing is I made really close friends. I actually made friends with people who also lived far away from home. One of my best friends, who still is my best friend today, she's all the way from Arizona, and like had she have not come to made the decision to come to Southern Miss and move away from home, like I would have never met her. And so it's a really cool opportunity to like get away from home and see a different place and get a different look, see how things are done, see how I think it's a learning experience, and I think it helps you mature a little bit faster just being away,
Right.
but it's a personal decision.
Sure. Your softball career had some good highs, it had some lows. How did you handle them? How did you handle each of them as they crept upon you?
So the highs were great. Obviously, you're playing, you're doing well, you're happy. You're playing, you're not doing well, you're confused and you don't understand, and it eats at you. And then you have the times where you're not playing at all and you don't understand why, or you're not playing at all because you know why you're not playing, and then the point of when you're not playing and you're just really wanting to show what you got. And I'm really fortunate. I look back at it now and I'm so fortunate. I even told my coach that I got to experience both sides. I got to experience playing all the time and not. And so getting to see both those perspectives I think really helped shape me now, and it helped me with a lot of other things. And we can go into that,
Yeah,
I think.
it was good. You were battle tested, and when called upon, you were ready. And I think that's important for people and players to know now too, that if your number's not called today, it could be called tomorrow.
Hmm.
And if you're still sulking about today, you won't be prepared to play tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I think that's the best lesson learned here in preparing to play in college.
Yeah.
Right, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know for me, it started out, and I'm going into this one year. I was more of a sat the bench. I was a pinch runner, pinch hitter. And at first you're upset, and like I look back and I'm like I shouldn't have been, but it's really a mindset type of thing. You look back, and as soon as I switched my mindset from, oh, I'm only getting to go into hit one time. Well, this girl gets three at bats this game. I switched my mindset to I don't need three at bats in a game. I don't even need one at bat. I need one pitch, and I'll show you what I can do. And I think when you switch your mindset to that, you become way more successful, and it becomes more like a game, and it helps you with your positive attitude for the team.
Yeah, so be mentally strong and overcome these potential obstacles and turn them into opportunities. I think that's what you're saying. And I agree with that. Um, your softball career, your travel ball and your high school career were successful. You played on a top level travel ball team with Wildfire and George Paulson's travel ball team, and you played in a very successful high school team in West Orange with Coach Brewer. Did both those elements prepare you enough for college softball? If not, if they fell short, what areas, or did they meet most of the expectations of college?
So, what's great about the experience I had playing for Coach George and Coach Bobby Brewer is they were both hard on you. Like they put the pressure on. They didn't let you get away with anything. So it was constantly, oh, you did this right, but guess what? You did this wrong too. And so I was constantly getting better. And so with that, that's kind of how college is it's nothing's ever good enough. You just have to keep working. And so I'm glad I got to play for two coaches like that, because I think that really helped me keep working, keep battling, and things like that. The one thing I think that travel ball and high school ball doesn't really prepare anybody for, especially if you're going to play in college, is you're probably one of the better players on the team if you're going to college to play softball. That being said, you're not prepared to sit the bench. at all. You've never done it. And so that's one area that's really hard for a lot of girls coming in when they come in as a freshman and they have to sit behind a senior, or they're coming in, they had a really good season and then they had a really bad little slump going on and then they have to sit back down. That's not something I ever had to go through, especially at the high school and travel ball level. Um, and so that's an area that fell short, but that's not, I don't know how you would fix that anyway, because it's not.
It's not in the model of travel ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe high school a little bit more than travel ball, but I agree with you. I think we've had these conversations recently with my team saying that the one thing at travel ball we can't emulate is the potential sitting time when not playing. And because most players are used to playing anywhere from 60, 70% to 95%. And where in college it could be 95%, but it also could be 10%. And some players don't have to deal with any of this. They come in, they're coming studs, they win the starting spot as freshmen, they stay there and they play 4 years. We know a few players ourselves who've had the great 4-year career that way. But I think a lot more sort of fall in the middle, in the area we're talking about, where there is some sitting time and some seat time that you have to earn over the years. And having never properly mentally adjusted to that has been probably the toughest challenge I think travel ball high school players graduating college have had. I mean, you had two good tough coaches in Coach Brewer and Coach Paulson, who kept raising the bar for you and of excellence. And I think that from that perspective, that helped a lot preparing to meet the challenges in college. So I think that was helpful. And like you said, I agree, the potential sitting or playing time, which is probably not in the model presently of softball, unless the rosters are a little bit bigger than travel, can't give you that necessary mental preparation, which I think is important though, because many players have not made it because of that reason. And so maybe that's something that all coaches can look at and maybe work on as they prepare their players for college entry. What were some of the called physical challenge to playing softball in college? Just the demanding schedule. You got your 6 a.m. weight training, balance between academic and athletics, having to maintain a high enough grade point average, remain in contention to be accepted into postgraduate programs if you want to, while still being able to control the field. But all those factors tough, and how'd you overcome them?
So the biggest thing is I was always tired. I was always drained. I remember waking up every day for weights, and sometimes, and like as much as I like to work out, because I work out now all the time, going to 6 a.m. workouts, I was like, how many more of these do I have, and am I going to make it through? And I would talk to my roommate about it and we would laugh because we knew we were going to get better in the weight room. And once we got there, it was fine. It was just the act of getting up that was just so hard, especially after being at practice till 6, doing extras and stuff like that. Grade wise, I did it. I completed my undergrad the best that I think I could. As far as my grade point average, was it the best that I could have performed at entirely? No. I was maybe a slightly above average student. When it came to studying, I used whatever time I had. I make better grades now, obviously, when I'm not playing. But especially when I was applying for schools for a postgraduate degree, I didn't realize I was competing against people that had 4.0s. I was competing against people that had 4.0s and that instead of playing a sport, they did research or they shadowed or they did other things. And me and my friend, Danny from Arizona, we were going through the same kind of thing. She was applying to medical school. I was applying for graduate school of speech pathology or audiology. And I ran into so many issues where it was like all those times you were at the games, you didn't do any shadowing. You didn't do any research. You didn't do any this, and this, like all these other people did. Your grade point average is lower. And some schools really didn't factor in the fact that I played softball. And that was one thing that was kind of disappointing. I think it depends on what kind of program you're looking at, where fortunately, Southern Miss, they factored in me as an entire person, and they accepted me into their audiology program. And so I'm really happy to be here. I actually got to be a graduate assistant for the softball team in my first year. And so it all ended up working out. But that's something that you have to think about when you go into your academic career, even if you play softball or you play a college sport, is at the end of the day, depending on what you want to do, you have to realize that you're going to be competing against people that did other things that may be equivalent to playing a college sport or maybe looked at differently than playing a college sport. So you have to keep your resume um, dynamic, I guess is the word to say.
Okay. We have a question from the audience. Dave Taylor has asked,
Mhm.
were you surprised how much time was spent outside of field practice doing things like conditioning, weightlifting, and watching films?
Yes. So it's funny that he says that because my freshman year, I used to have to spend an hour before practice on my own working on hitting with one coach, and then I would do an hour after on my own. And you have the practice in between, and then I would get film sent to me, like an email, and just like I could watch it on my own time, or you could come and meet for a film, and it was just like you don't factor in any of that time, and then plus you have to get 10 hours of study hall, and it's like where do you have time for this? So that was kind of a lot. I know my high school coaches, my travel ball coach especially, would always tell me, do some extra work at home, hit on a tee for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, 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 okay, okay, I'll do my little bit and that's it. But and when you get to college, you're always working on your own. Sometimes you just want to work on your own. Sometimes you need that mental break to work on your own, and it's really good for you. And so I think it's really important for people to start doing something like that.
When you look back and reflect on your 4-year college career in softball, at Southern Miss, what would the Arielle of today tell the Arielle of yesteryear, who was in her recruiting phase and starting out in her first year as a college player? What advice, in retrospect, would you give yourself now, what you know now versus what you didn't know then?
I would have told myself to not be as hard, like on myself. I was, so hard on myself when I didn't get the job done, or if I was in a little slump, or if I couldn't figure out how to hit a certain pitch. Like I would blow up on myself, or if I had gotten the opportunity to go in and I didn't do well, I would just sulk and in my head, about why I can't do it, why I'm not good enough. And when I changed my mentality in my junior year, um, everything changed. It was like a whole new perspective on softball. I was like, this sport isn't hard. I can do this. And so I would have told myself to not worry about that stuff, not worry about if I wasn't going to play or if I was going to play, just to go 100% no matter what. And whatever happens, happens. And just to focus on my academics because I kind of let my grades slip a semester or so. And looking back, that it wasn't worth letting my grades fall, my attitude, or anything like that. I should have just, you know, stayed
Well, I'm,
positive all the time.
well, obviously, an adjustment you made mentally did click in. You hit over 300 in your junior and senior year, and you were end up being accepted to a 4-year doctoral program in audiology. So obviously that mental adjustment made a huge difference for you and allowed you to be both successful on the field and in the classroom. So kudos to you for taking it upon yourself to recognize where your deficiencies were and say, enough, I'm going to make that mental adjustment and change my perspective on the game, and the results were evident. Finally, what words of wisdom do you have for the aspiring Ripet softball players and families whose dream is to play in college on athletic scholarships, who are starting out either in the middle of their recruiting phase or those players who are about to be entering the college scene in 2019? What final words of wisdom do you have for them?
I just want to tell them to encourage their kids to have fun while they're playing travel ball, while they're playing high school. Encourage them to really think about what they want to do and really think about where they want to go. And that being said, help them to understand that end all be all, it's what you do with your life. And so softball is a means to help you get there, and it's a means to help shape you as a person. And so encourage that perspective onto the young girls who are looking to go to college, because I think at the end of the day it's what kind of person are you and what are you doing now? How did it help you, and what did you gain from it? And so I think those two things are extremely important. And I think you do those, you figure out those two things, you'll be happy anywhere you go.
I totally agree. I think softball, any kind of sport that you're able to play at a high level, will shape you for the rest of your life. And the memories you take with you, you'll have for the rest of your life, good and bad, because they all build character. At the end of the day, in life, it's character that matters. Arielle, I want to thank you for joining us today on Rip It Live on Facebook. You offered some great insights on what it takes to become a successful college player and have a great college experience, as well as being a successful student. So my words of wisdom to you are, go back and study. Those straight A's are like hitting for the cycle. And I guess we'll see you soon. Okay, well, again, great insight from Arielle. We appreciate her being on the show. And now it's time for one of our favorite segments, and a popular one. It's growing. It's the Rip It High School Heroes of the Week. There was a lot of action this week and a lot of heroes this week, so hang with me here. Haggerty picked up a big win against Windermere High 15-3. Shannon Glover went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs, and Olivia Lipari was 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. In a battle of high school softball powerhouses this year, Winter Springs outlasted Eustis 4-3, as Winter Springs remained undefeated at the time at 18-0, while Eustis was handed their first loss of the season, and they were at 15-1. Kaylee Mudge was 3 for 4 with a home run for Winter Springs. In another long-time rival, 2-1 in 9 innings. Close game. Nia Vogel came up big in the pitching circle, going 9 innings and giving up 1 run while giving up 3 hits and striking out 9. So a great performance allowed Apopka to come away with that close victory. Lake Region also beat a good 9A Lake Brantley team 6-1. Savannah Barnett picked up the win in that game with a strong pitching performance that included 9 strikeouts. Savannah also pitched in a tough 4-3 loss to Gainesville, where she pitched 10 innings and struck out 8 batters. That game included 4 Texas tiebreakers, and those aren't very common. You usually get 1 or 2, but when you get 4, it was some kind of game. For the weekend, Savannah struck out 28 batters, which is incredibly impressive, incredibly impressive showing, and certainly showing her College of Central Florida future school that they should be happy with their 2019 pitching commit. Savannah doesn't shy away from anything. She takes on the best, and she did a great job this past week. Newsom High School improved to 13-3 with a big 10-1 win over Strawberry Crest. Newsom's Jaden Ruskowski just missed hitting for the cycle with a home run, triple, and a single in the game. So all she needed was that double, but still very impressive. A home run, triple, and a single, and a big win for Newsom. Another big crosstown rivalry, St. Cloud reigned supreme by beating its longtime rival Harmony 4-0. Taylor McFain with a big home run for St. Cloud, and I'm very happy St. Cloud team with that win, because that rivalry's been going on for a while. Also, congratulations to Kayla Hickey for being named Lake Brantley's Player of the Game versus Wekiva. Great job. Way to go, Kayla. A congratulatory shout goes to lefty pitcher Lindsay Hendricks of Timber Creek High School for collecting her 100th strikeout for the high school season. That's an impressive feat. And a big congratulations goes out to Annalise Floriano of University High School as she hit her first high school home run against Lake Mary in only her 3rd varsity game. A 2-run shot over the left field fence. So always a great memory and a great feeling when you hit your first varsity home run. Nice job, Annalise. And those are this week's high school heroes. Okay, moms, remember, Rip It has a private Facebook page just for you. Just search Softball Mom Squad. Click the link in the comments below. Okay, we'll be happy to join in the Softball Mom Squad page. Remember, again, to win the great backpack, the awesome backpack, tag a parent, tag a coach, make it public, share this video as many times as you can, and you can win that great pack, but it'll come in handy come season, trust me on that. And we'll be announcing the winner of the backpack on next week's live show on Wednesday, April 17th, once again at noon. Our next week Rip It Live show will be discussing the college parent perspective, a little different than the college player perspective. So some of the topics will be, what do you wish you knew going in, and did you think that the experience would be ultimately what it was? Did it match your expectations as a parent? Did it exceed it? Or did it fall short in its actual experience? So there should be some good guests on again next week. with some great perspective as we try and build education for you, the softball audience. Once again, thank you for joining us on Rip It Live on Facebook, and we look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday at noon, on Rip It Live on Facebook.